I walk around going like, how can I make everything better, including myself, right? It's like a gift and a curse. Lowering your expectations for others, but at the same time, keeping high standards and raising standards for yourself. That is the dynamic of the game.
So do you want to share how this topic came up this morning? How it started?
I'm looking for a quote.
Has to do with our topic.
Yeah. What do you despise? By this, are you truly known?
Okay, explain.
It's a quote that I really hate because it's basically saying the thing that triggers you, the thing that you don't like, the person you don't like, is really you.
Or the parts of you that you
Exactly
need to work on or need to sit in.
Which is a very hard thing for people to filter out. Like, wait a minute, no, I don't like that. No, it's showing you a mirror, and that's the topic today. I had a conversation with one of my men's groups. The prompt was, are you always going to be triggered by your significant other? Are you ever going to arrive at a place where that doesn't happen?
That nothing triggers you with them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which if you're spending your whole life with the person, I don't believe that you ever will arrive to a place of not being triggered by that person. I think you can get better, but...
What was it we wanted to like punch each other out just recently? We were so triggered. We were talking about, it was 1 week ago today, we were talking about some of the groups we want to create and which group we wanted to create first. Did we want to really spend time on the business group, the relationship marriage group, like which direction? And we were saying the same thing.
Oh yeah, we were doing our podcast, right?
It was after the podcast.
After the podcast, yeah.
We started going after each other.
Yeah, and I just wanted to punch you. I wanted to just sock you right in the face so hard.
Sock me in the face?
Sock you in the face. Just
sock
like
me in the face.
Nail you right in the face and just like almost break your jaw.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever want to punch you because it's just a really aggressive thought, but I wouldn't mind taking I think my palm is big enough to palm your face and just like put my whole palm on your face, like palming a basketball.
You've tried that before.
And just crunch it.
You haven't crunched it.
Like you're talking and I just want to put my palm on your face and stop everything from continuing. Like, whoom. And so why were we triggered? Like it's easy for me to understand right now why we were triggered. Can you figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's expectations for one. I think it's also, like we were just talking about, like what trigger the problem with what we were talking about is we were saying the exact same thing. And I don't know why we were triggered so much because we actually were saying, okay, go for it.
It's just so cheesy. I want to be like trigonometry.
That's what we should title the
trigonometry. No, I mean, it's relevant because there's so many people triggered nowadays over stupid shit. It was a mirror, right? I mean, we're looking at these things that are so entwined with what we want to do that haven't been proven out yet. We haven't put the offer out. And really, it's just this fear-based feeling of, are we going to get this wrong?
Are we going to get it wrong? And is it going to happen fast enough?
So that's where you were coming from, right?
Yeah.
And so we were both bringing our scarcity minds, our fear-based minds, I'm not enough, will this work? Our fear of failure minds. Like that, both of us that's what was showing up.
Yep.
Right? Because we obviously haven't done that next thing yet. And so we were stuck in a fear loop.
Yeah. Which I think it always kind of stems back to that, right? Like how much of your trigger is from those feelings of not feeling loved, not being enough, not feeling worthy, fear of rejection. Like I think most of them, if you really like continue to peel back the layers, most of them stem from that.
Yeah, triggers they're a mirror.
Yeah.
And that's why I led with that quote. And it's easier to get mad at somebody else than to look in a mirror. And that's what it always comes back to. Like I'm triggered. It's very hard to be triggered at anyone else or at the world if you're in a really healthy place.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a really happy place, if you're in a really loving place, a really grateful place, like it's almost impossible to be triggered. You're almost impenetrable
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. And that's why it's an inside game, but it's an inside game to solve it, but it's an outside game to become aware of it.
Yeah. And when you're spending your life with somebody, you know, your intimate relationship, that is the one where you're most vulnerable and you're most raw. So it's expected, and it makes sense that it shows up even more so in your marriage than it does with like friendships or coworkers or different things like that. More common because that's where you're spending your time.
It was interesting. You know, the conversation evolved into sex, and it evolved into
The one that you had this morning with your...
Yeah, it evolved into conversations and intimacy, not involving sex,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's so much easier, this pure preface, it's so much easier to realize and be able to see it when it's not you.
Right.
I mean, it's worth naming that.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't want to sit here and be like, we're getting some stupid fights.
Yeah.
Right. One thing was brought up and I was like, wow, I've been triggered a lot in the past. I mean, shit, we had a conversation, a podcast about sex, and I got so triggered just on how often we had sex, the way you were talking about us having sex. Like, all my insecurities came out to the point I stopped the podcast. I was like, we're not even going to release this. Right.
And then I was triggered that I finally started communicating, and then you shut me down, and I was like, wait a minute, like I thought this was what you wanted. And then it became this huge thing, right?
And so that was part of it. And then it was like, okay, what in the past would trigger us, two things I think can happen. One, you just accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a danger that lurks beneath the surface on that. If you're accepting something less than what you want, it's going to come out eventually. Mm-hmm. That means you're just lying to yourself. Or you've improved so much that you've forgotten what it was like when it wasn't as good as this, and now you want more.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that whole new becomes normal, normal becomes numb, right? And then you have to start over, right? So you could be triggered in multiple different ways. And so what I gave my 2 cents, and I was like, what if we reframed triggers?
Okay.
What if the trigger is just a growth opportunity? What if triggers are a requirement of the relationship?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where self-reflection comes in, right? Like, what is showing up for me? Like, why is this bothering me so much? Like, asking yourself and sitting with that for a minute. Like, I listened to a podcast this morning, and it was Peter Crone and Melissa Wood Health, and they weren't talking specifically about triggers, but something had happened to her, and she got really emotional because it had triggered this inner child in her, where she felt like all these emotions coming up, and she all of a sudden felt like she was 8-year-old Melissa, and was harboring all this resentment and all these feelings. And instead of lashing out or commenting or doing something to just escalate the situation, she really sat with it. And she was started asking herself those questions, and asking herself because she was like, I own my shit. I own my responsibility in this. But at the same time, why is this showing up for me? What wounds
you gotta
is
be,
this?
You got to be right here in the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see he's probably doing a Facebook Live, and I'm like, this is the worst time to do a live. It's so where's my trigger? The trigger that this didn't, what you're saying. I'm like, what does that even mean? Why are you bringing that up? You're mentioning a podcast again. In the moment, I was getting triggered.
Yeah, I could tell.
And you know what it is? I'm able to be
because you're trying to control the frame.
100%. It's about control.
Yes.
And it's about control because I don't want to look like an idiot, and I want it to be right. Right. And so if we weren't talking about triggers, I'd be like, motherfucker, why is he doing that? And why is she saying that? And what's going on here? right?
Yeah.
And so then you take it a deeper step, like, or deeper level. Why do I have a feeling and need for control?
Why do you?
Abandonment issues and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos, my childhood, whatever, which even that is potentially a lie because
Yeah, but it's based off a past experience
Yes.
that you had this emotion around, and now it's showing up in all of these areas of your life.
so inside game
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again,
Yeah.
right? And you don't you wrote common triggers: feeling dismissed, feeling unseen, unheard, feeling controlled, a loss of control, money issues, past betrayals. Like, you don't feel that way if you have yourself buttoned up.
That is true. That is true. But I think that part of this conversation, I think it's
Or
important.
maybe
yes.
you could feel that way, but you react completely, very differently.
Yes. And the fact that we're talking about like a marriage and stuff, I think it's important. Like sometimes like when I'm triggered, it's easier for you to see when I'm triggered than it is for me to be like, ooh, I'm triggered here. And like, what's coming up for me? Like, cause my reaction is typically like avoidant, defensiveness. Like I'm like one of those people where I'm just going to
Not
like
as much
retreat
anymore, though. You're getting really much better.
because I'm doing a lot of the
You put in the
self
work,
work,
yeah.
right? But in a marriage, like it is important for somebody, the other person, to realize and recognize those patterns, because then sometimes when you're just in it and you're just feeling those emotions and everything's intensified, it's hard to be like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, why are you feeling like this right now? Or like take a step back and like be like, maybe we need some space. Maybe we need time to think about this. And
That's
then
the whole thing
reconnect.
about like therapy and deep conversations or crucial conversations. I just was in the bookstore the other day and I saw the book. They're on like the 50th version of it, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's never the issue. It's never the trigger.
Right.
That's with therapy.
the
That's when you have a real
underlying- yeah.
conversation. There's always something deeper. So if
Yep.
you're having, and this is where like I'm getting good at realizing in the moment, what is this really about?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And all of the things that society is dealing with right now, like what is this really about?
I think that's a great question. I think it's even showing up right now with how we parent, right? Like when our kids are triggered or when they're reacting a certain way, you've been asking that question like, whoa, what's really going on here?
Yes.
Because you're showing me this, and that's obviously not what's happening, right? And then we get into deep conversations where it's like, okay, maybe they were feeling rejected by a friend, or maybe something happened that we had no idea about, and now they're finally able to open up about it. But that initial like fighting with their sister or pushing somebody or reacting, like that's a great question. Like, what is this really about? What's really showing up for us right now?
And that's the whole question, like where are the needs not being met?
Yep.
And it's not even about other people necessarily meeting their needs. What's going on in their brain, right? And
Yeah.
I've noticed this multiple times in the last week. The way you reacted to Lola not getting a part at the school play,
Oh yeah.
right?
Total trigger.
It was really about you
I'm sure it was.
because it was
obviously
about you being a mom
me
and wanting
feeling
to
like I
protect
wanted to protect her.
your
Yeah.
daughter, who you feel like needs to be more involved with people and things like that. Whereas she doesn't get filled up the same way you do.
Mm-hmm.
Ella does. Lola gets filled up like me. Like when we had our little day spontaneous yesterday, like we were on the same page.
Yeah.
It was very like you and Ella can kind of go into your groove and just be kind of your like do like, and you love it. Me and Lola were just kind of doing our thing. She was like, I needed kind of like a recharge. I needed to do my own thing. She needs that.
Right.
And yeah, she needs to be pushed, but it's never going to look to you the way it's going to look to her.
Right.
Right.
And
so you like going Mama Bear and met at the school or met at this or met at that. It was really about you, which is great.
right.
But having that self-awareness.
Well, and there's a lesson in all of it. Like you
Yeah.
just having this conversation with me, I'm like, shit, you're right. Like, fuck. And then even the way she reacted to it, where she was like, Mom, you're crashing out. I don't even care. And how she was like, the fact I didn't get this part is like what I'm going to have to get used to. If I truly want to be an actor, then I'm going to have to face rejection over and over and over again. And I was like, damn, she's like 12 and she's like,
Yeah.
this
But you're
is
also
crazy.
and
you
then
know?
you got to be aware enough to be like, that's healthy.
Right. But not
But
too, yeah, you don't
let's
want to
not let her use that as an excuse to not go for it either.
Right.
Right. And so it's just being aware of triggers. Now it could have gone completely the other way, because when we had that conversation, all of a sudden, Gianna's being involved, saying things she doesn't understand. Ella's now like being devil's advocate, making Lola feel like crap. It escalated into not a great night.
Right.
Everyone was crashing out. And so one trigger can bring down the whole house.
Yeah.
Right? It's a house of
It
cards.
often does. Yeah.
Yes.
Because when somebody is that triggered, then the energy kind of radiates throughout.
If we took accountability in relationships of what triggered us, it would solve a lot of problems. And I think we need that more than ever.
Oh yeah.
Right now.
Especially with the political landscape and everything else.
Social media is just a constant, nonstop trigger.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're just like, well, my life isn't great. Comparison to where we're at, way things should be, and then you see a differing opinion that will trigger you, and you're like, wait a minute, why am I letting this affect me? Now, all those things are important because that's like your day-to-day mindset, but the most important relationship, and this is the next part of it, right? Like why we're talking about triggers in marriage. My coach believes your most important relationship is the one with your significant other, your wife. We're a group of men, right? And we had a conversation around this, and it was interesting to me. And he takes from a biblical level, right? Like the whole Adam and Eve and in Eden, and I kind of rejected it. It was like, I believe your most important relationship is with yourself, your soul. Some people, is it God, is it source? But it's that thing that's bigger than you that is internal, right?
Yeah, it's the witness behind the life that you're living.
Beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah.
But where I did attach to what he was saying is if you have most marriages, relationships, you become an extension of each other. And so I do believe there is a source of awareness, power, connection that is more than just self. And it is super important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And if you want to get biblical, like, and I'm bad with my Bible, so I could be saying this wrong. But wasn't Eve created from Adam's rib?
You're asking
Austin, correct? So they're kind of extensions of each other. So they're just, right? If you're looking at it from that, or there's a oneness, there's a wholeness to the universe, right? And
not even that, but just the transfer of energy. Right? Like when somebody is being intimate with somebody or being close to somebody, always, like your auras are always kind of intertwined. So you're completely right. You're an extension of each other.
So if that's the case, then the triggers that we really should pay attention to are the ones in our significant others.
Right.
Because they are like a way to unlock these
triggers
areas
within yourself.
Yes.
Totally.
Rather than it being like, it's like a non-starter for me. And I realize like we're going to have some work to do if I'm talking to a friend or I'm coaching somebody. If they're blaming every person around them or these circumstances that can't be controlled, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
We got some work to do.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, that was kind of where I was like, yeah, triggers are always going to be there. It's like Tony Robbins says about problems.
Yeah.
Well, what does he say about problems? I'm giving you a little in. I don't want to do all the talking.
The problems are basically the quality of your questions, right? Isn't that true?
No, he said, love your problems, because when you, the only time you're not going to have problems are when you're dead.
Oh, yeah,
the point of life is to not have less problems, is to have more quality problems.
Well, that's what I meant. Quality problems. That's where I got the quality of the questions.
Yeah, I mean, so
I was in the same.
You were great. Quality of, yeah.
No, I was in a deep thought about something else that you said. Because you were talking about like if you're working with somebody and everything's external and they're blaming all the external, it's also interesting, like there are situations where somebody takes the blame. Let's just say it was something really deep, like child molestation or something that happened as a kid. Then a lot of times those people can take on the responsibility that wasn't theirs, right?
Totally.
Something happened to them. And so I think it's being clear on like what responsibility it's yours and what responsibility is like something to let go of because you had no control over that and it wasn't your fault. So I think there's a series of questions that really help somebody dial in on that.
This has been misconstrued a lot in the past, so I'm going to be very delicate on how I say this. But no matter how bad the trauma, how horrific you name it,
Mm-hmm.
there is something beautiful to be pulled out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's easy to say that when it hasn't happened.
Right.
But we have so many examples of people who have endured the worst atrocities, from Viktor Frankl to you name it, and have turned that into the most positive light.
Yeah, your worst day could be your best day.
Right. And so I'm not saying to go search for problems,
Mm-hmm.
but I used to play this reframe game. And it was about like how I could post online. So I'd go searching for these like lessons in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was taught to me what, why, lesson, apply. What happened? Why does it matter? What's the lesson from it? And how can you apply it to the rest of your life? So I call it the reframe game. So I would start looking around for things that went wrong. Some of them were super little. Some of them, they're massive triggers.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of like, I'd play a game. I'd be like, all right, what happened? I'll give you an example. I had a Range Rover at the time. This is one of the ones that got the most views and likes and whatever. I had a Range Rover at the time. So what happened? I went and got my car washed at a corner gas station, cheap car wash place,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, what happened was I put it through. I didn't pay a lot, and it was terrible. I ended up having to spend another like 40 minutes outside my office finishing cleaning my car. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, why the hell did I pay a little bit of money or even it just so I could clean my own car? Like, why does this matter? And I was like, well, I should just be having someone coming to my office, pay them more, do it while I'm working, spend more. And they spend all this time focusing on just my car, not trying to get 50 of them through, right? And so the lesson was, am I going to spend a $20 car wash on a $100,000 car? And so how could I apply this? And my application in my life is, am I going to treat my own body like that? Or am I going to get the best doctors, the best health people, and things like that? So you see, so rather than like getting super triggered that I wasted time during the day, spent not enough money on a car that I had to re-clean, it was like, where can I pull this out?
Right.
So the more and more I played this game, the more I was almost like looking for things to happen.
Well, looking for
that I could
to
reframe
reveal about yourself. Yeah. And
Right.
I think that those questions are great. Like when you can get scope, and because like when you're in it and you're like feeling it, it's really hard to like zoom out and be like, okay, like this is something that's happening to me. Cause I know when I'm triggered, especially with like the girls or with you or when we're in this thing, it is so hard to pull myself out of that moment and that emotion and be like, okay, you know, what can I learn from this? Like, it's really, really hard to have that. So for me, I feel like if I can look at anytime I get into that thing, like if I take 5 steps away and I'm just like, okay, I need 5 minutes where I'm just like not thinking about this. I'm not turning on my phone. I'm focused. I'm sitting in it for a minute. And then I ask those questions because I think that that's what's important is like, how do you break this pattern of always being triggered? And then you just constantly in this cycle, unless you can kind of pause and then do that reflection that you're talking about.
I have an answer for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one that would be great to apply in my own life. Right.
Okay.
So control what you can control
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat. So by controlling what you can control is be like, okay, so you're doing 2 things at once. Let's say you're making dinner and you want everyone to enjoy the meal and you don't want to be screaming at people. Set yourself up for success by saying, I can control telling everyone exactly what I want and need them to do. Can't control them, but you could at least communicate it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can control how much you enjoy cooking, what you're cooking, things like that, right? Then the second part's the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rail against this for the majority of my life. Detach from the outcome and lower your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for someone like me who has high standards and wants to control everything, these are two very difficult things to do.
Oh, totally. Because as you're talking about that, I'm like, okay, great. You're trying to control the frame, to control what you can control. And then the second something doesn't go your way, then you're going to be triggered. It's going to then trigger. It's going to be like this waterfall of triggers throughout like our family, right? Where it's going to be like, oh, like, well, now I'm pissed because I'm the one cooking something. And I'm
Yep.
like, well, you should be lucky I'm even fucking cooking. And then the kids are going to sit down and they're going to be like, maybe take your side and be like, well, it's not that great, or say something. Then even my walls go up even more. And as my walls go up, you start getting upset. Like there's this waterfall, this cascade of fucking triggers when something happens. So I agree with you, but it's almost like, how do you not react?
I'm glad you asked.
Okay, go for it, Mr. fucking prophet over here.
I'm not prophet. Listen, just because, like, back to Morpheus, difference between knowing the path
And walking the path.
Oh, you actually remembered one.
Yeah.
No, that makes me not a hypocrite. Like, but at least having somewhat of awareness and an idea of how to combat it, that's two huge steps.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Implementation, okay. If you could pull off the trifecta, even better.
Well, yeah, I guess it's just baby steps, right?
When I was told so many times, lower your expectations, it was almost like you were attacking my most core belief.
Right.
Like I walk
High
around.
expectations.
I walk around going like, how can I make everything better, including
Mhm.
myself, right? It's like a gift and a curse. Lowering your expectations for others, but at the same time, keeping high standards and raising standards for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That is the dynamic of the game. Like you could have high standards of what the meal looks like, how happy you're going to be, and you could be in your own little bubble.
Yeah.
That's controlling what you can control,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it feels counterintuitive. What is it? I've said it a million times before. Expectations are nothing but premeditated resentment,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because our expectations, even if they're clearly communicated, are never going to be met because there are expectations. It's like you're attaching an outcome to something you have no control over.
Right.
And that is a recipe for disaster. This is a zero-sum game.
Right.
Right. And so you're trying to control something. The more you try to control it, the worse it gets. And it's just the gap between what you wanted to happen and what actually happened just expands.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if you were like, I did my part, if I checked off the box, I enjoyed cooking this meal, I'm enjoying it. If I consider myself, if I'm rating myself as a good mom and a person that I want my own standards of being a mother, my own standards of being a wife, my own standards of how I want to eat in a health way, and you check all those boxes off, there should be joy in that. There could be.
There could be.
Even you're rejecting it right now.
No,
And
I'm not.
so-
I'm not even rejecting it. I'm just saying that it's like it's easier said than done, right? Like all of this, like the triggers, that's why it's so important to have this like reflection and try to prevent it as much as possible and be like, listen, like these are the needs that I have. These are the needs that you have. And how can we meet each other with these needs? Like I used to get almost triggered when Brad, our leader at the equine stuff, would ask everybody about their needs. I was like, okay, well, how are we going to meet everybody's needs? Like, you know what I mean? But it's actually a great question. Like even talking to the kids, like what needs do you need to be met right now? Like I didn't think about that, but like letting Lola be like, I need to just have some time alone, or I need to finish my audiobook or whatever.
Yes.
You
And
know?
at the same time, be like, well, I'm glad that's your need, but it's not going to be met.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you're getting information.
And
Right? I
getting
hope you
feedback.
get your need met,
Right.
but I can't meet that need.
Right.
I can
Or
meet some
help
needs.
them, especially with kids, help them try to figure out how to meet those needs. But with each other, I think it's a good question. Like there's times where I'm like, you're dealing with something and it might just be worth asking, like what need could could be met right now? Or like, how could I help meet your needs? Or, you know what I mean? I think a lot could be done by that. Or same thing with me. Like if I'm going through something, like sometimes you want to talk and you want to force the conversation. And sometimes my need is to just have a minute. You know what I mean? So it's really just asking the questions and like taking a pause, taking a moment to then look at it through a different lens. Like the times where I'm most triggered by you, it's typically when you are dealing with anxiety or something comes up where you're not feeling yourself. Like I get triggered, but then when I do, like the times I have sat and been like, well, shoot, like what could I do to help? And then you explain like what needs to happen, like what you're desiring. I then in turn, instead of feeling triggered, like my desire is to help you. Then that's a need for me, is to be like, oh, I want to help him. I want to make this better.
Whereas in the past, I'm already in my head and maybe in not a great place. And you attacking would make me go one of two ways.
Yeah.
Right? Like in pure like sadness, like beat the hell out of myself, or rage.
Right.
Attack.
Well, and both of those
or
both of those are showing up from old wounds that you have as a child, right?
It usually goes sadness, like I'm not even worthy of being in this relationship. Why would anyone want me? To complete fuck you. And now I'm going to attack.
Yeah.
Right. And
exactly.
then it's a terrible. It would expose both. My trigger would lead to your trigger, would lead and
then it's I said, it's a cascade of triggers.
It is not a good loop.
Yeah.
It is a negative feedback loop. But now that we're aware of the triggers and we deal with it internally we hold space for both people.
Right.
Boom, off we go. Right. And this isn't like something that you just get this skill overnight, but you can make a conscious change.
Oh yeah. Could be much better. Yeah. I feel like we've progressively gotten better and better with our relationship and how we trigger each other and then how we respond to each other's triggers.
Yeah. So it's okay. So it's showing up, holding space, and having boundaries for ourselves. Right? Because overcorrection isn't the answer either.
Right.
Right.
Totally.
So it's like, that's a healthy, secure relationship with yourself that then pours over to the person you're with. So I would argue or debate or even invite you to really start loving the triggers. Start loving the opportunities to see something about yourself and be like, wow, this is an opportunity for growth. This is an opportunity for growth of our relationship. This is an opportunity for growth for myself. And be grateful that you're willing to actually have these conversations, to not hide from them, to be like, this is really like getting to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, here's what I think I'm contributing to this, but I'm curious how you feel about it. And then if you have two people who are willing to
have that conversation, that's powerful.
You're gonna get somewhere.
And how big of a gift is the trigger then? And like being able to heal like all those parts of you that feel those unmet needs or those reactions of not being loved and not being enough and all that, and having that conversation with your spouse, like really truly connecting over it, could heal. So it's like therapy in itself.
Plus, you're taking all the heaviness and weight away from having this expectation of a perfect relationship. To be like, that does not exist. We're always going to fight. We're always going to get pissed off at each other here and there, and looking at it almost amused. And
looking
now
at it with curiosity instead of judgment.
And it could be, you could play with it a little more. And then now it's not the thing that is pushing you apart and breaking the relationship and the reason why you believe we're not connected. It becomes a thing that actually pulls you closer and makes you have a stronger relationship. That's the irony of the entire game, that the very thing that can break you could become the thing that makes you unbreakable. That was fucking good.
It's good. It's a perfect ending.
Perfect. Beautiful. Bye-bye.